Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a short little knife review slash knife overview to show you guys. This is the new CJRB Latitude, not a button lock, but a button operated top liner lock. That means that the liner lock engages behind the lock face and not underneath. This typically, when done correctly, allows for a stronger, it's very easy to manipulate, has an actual detent ball, but it is a stronger locking system than your typical, obviously than a plunge lock, but even your typical liner lock. CJRB has proven that they know how to do this. It implies that they'll be maybe adding this system to a lot of knives, in the future in their line. This is a great type of locking system because it can be manipulated without putting your fingers in the path of the blade as it closes. Combined with strength, that's great. This is something that I and many other content creators have been pushing for in the knife industry because it just makes a lot of sense. So very cool, and I'm sure you can guess, this is a really recommendable knife. In fact, it's probably one of the better choices that you can make as far as budget knives go, or any knives that cost less than $75 now in the 2026 knife market. Really, really good. I like it a lot. I have just a couple of suggestions. We'll get to it, but this is going to be pretty straightforward. I will link this down in the description if you're thinking, gosh, purple and red's kind of weird. Don't worry, they actually have a bunch of different combinations, so you can check out all the different color combinations by using the link in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to CJRB for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. And make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Some of you guys tell me that you run my channel at 2x speed because I talk so much. How do you even understand what I'm saying? Like when I'm going through the intro? I don't know. I think that's funny. If it works for you, then great. Okay, let's go ahead and measure this knife. We'll try to get through specs really quick. Overall length of the Latitude coming in at about 7.85 inches. Blade length is coming in at 3.35 inches, and the cutting edge is about 3 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. So I have multiple of these Naps burritos that I keep confusing them. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. So up against my own Excalibur and the Shark Cub. This guy's kind of in between. It's not nearly as long as Excalibur, but it's also substantially larger than the Shark Cub. Let's put it up against the, we're just going to do a couple. We're going to do the Spyderco Para 3, and then let's go ahead and do the Hogue Deca. Very similar overall size to the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? Really good. You push the button and the blade drops. That's what it should do. Thumb studs, beautifully comfortable. Look how they formed this. Beautiful, beautiful. On one side, on this side, it's not quite as domed. This is domed over here. This side has the screw on it. But it's really easy to get a hold of those, and it's nice having the little red aluminum collars around them too. It's just a nice little touch there. Very easy to deploy, whether you're going to do the reverse flick or the thumb flick. And obviously, this is not a unique profile. We have drop point blade, and we have very simple tried and true knife handle, right? That's not what's special about this. If you're looking at it and thinking it looks like a knife, yeah, of course it looks like a knife. But it's the price, the quality control, and of course the new locking system that makes this stand out amongst the sea of other boring and repetitive budget options out there. But you could say that the aesthetic of this is still the same basic and boring look that we've seen forever. And I'll tell you this right now, this look is not going away. You know why? Because it's the look of a standard tool. It's a straightforward cutting tool. You're going to see this because this works and is very versatile, right? So the standard look of a pocket knife will always be a foundation of especially the budget knife market, right? It's all of the other things that make up the knife that are going to determine whether or not it's better than the other knives that look like knives, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and do let's do blade stock thickness, since the calipers are right here and they're always like invisible to me. Blade stock thickness is 143 thousandths. It's a little thicker than I was expecting. Let's put it up against the, let's do the hardware check. Get out my tools. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Thank God, CJRB finally getting to T8 screws everywhere except for the pocket clip, which is fine because once you mount it, you're going to leave it alone. But as long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. We're going to weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? We have some aluminum. We have, in this case, purple G10. I think they might offer my card on this. I'm not sure. And then, you know, it's fine at this price point, but AR RPM 9 or spray form 440B, 9CR 13 MOV, whatever. It's all in that vicinity. It's fine. It's not my choice. It's not my top choice for budget steel, but it's fine. 4.2 ounces, so not bad on the weight, not a perfect ratio there. Your balance is actually right smack dab in the middle of the primary index finger position, so it feels really, really good. Meat and potatoes, ergonomically, masterpiece. I mean, it's not contoured to it, but the grip zones feel super natural. You have plenty of room to choke up while not sacrificing any meaningful cutting edge. Really great. Jimping's all right. Honestly, the lock-in is just so good that I can't really complain about it. But yeah, it feels natural. It's exactly the type of zones that you want on a knife like this. And I'm sorry, it's exactly the type of grip zones that you want on a pocket knife you actually plan to use. And then your thumb studs are nowhere near the cutting path. So that's really, really great. I love that. And also the texturing on the G10 is grippy enough that you can make use of it. Really nice, and it is chamfered at the edges, so nothing feels sharp. Even the pocket clip, it's not a perfect pocket clip, but it's not, there's no part of it that's going to create any crazy hotspot. Simple drop point or spear point blade. Flat only runs maybe 20% the length of the blade. Sorry about that, doorbell. Your most of this is a flat grind down to the cutting bevel, and your actual edge is probably medium thickness. I'll let you guys take a look at that plunge grind there. Nice even cutting bevel, nice tip, and honestly the factory edge is really nice. Your cutting geometry is good. This is an incredibly versatile and pretty standard run-of-the-mill blade shape. Your poking tasks, your slicing tasks, all of that, it's going to be decently good at, you know, almost any type of cutting task until you're into like chopping or batoning or anything like that. But your standard cutting tasks, obviously, your simple drop point or spear point blade is going to do that stuff really, really well. Very, very comfortable choke up spot because we don't have a flipper tab here cramming you into either this zone or behind this zone. I really like that. But CJRB and many other companies have made, you know, designs like this. There's countless designs to do the same thing. So anyways, their button here is a pill shape with a little bit of texturing on it. It's nice. You push it. Not a lot of travel does the trick. You actually have a detent ball, which means you get the satisfaction of breaking the detent. So that's really nice. The tension on their lock bar, this is another thing. Obviously, the geometry of these things really matters, but the tension on this is very clearly high. I had some issues with some of Kaiser's top liner locks failing, and I swear every single time one failed, it had light tension. And you know, I think that's really the key with these you know, liner locks and these button operated frame locks is obviously the geometry has to be right, but you're able to apply quite a bit of force with it being a button, so you can go with a higher tension liner lock than you normally would, where disengaging it is like if you're, you know, if we're talking about a standard liner lock, you disengage it in the front, or a frame lock, because of the awkwardness of the positioning of your finger. I think sometimes they don't want to go too crazy with the tension, and on top of that, it's because it can create lock stick. If you get the geometry just right, you can avoid lock stick and probably go higher tension with these button-operated liners and top liners. And what it does is it just causes the lock to engage in an even safer way, right? So I think that's good, and I can clearly tell CJRB went a little higher tension on these, and I think that's nice. It also feels really nice to break that detent. Anyways, standoff here, lanyard barrel here, not in the way of the pocket clip. Remember, the pocket clip positioning is much more important. I mean, this is an opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and push this through as a factual thing. I've been doing it for about 8 years now. I'm not going to stop. The pocket clip and its positioning are far, far more important than not only the positioning of the lanyard barrel or hole, the existence of it. We should always prioritize the pocket clip over the lanyard thing. The lanyard thing is just an afterthought. And like, you know, there's like a small, little, teeny tiny community of people who still care about it. And that's fine. It's nice when you have a way for them to attach a lanyard, but your positioning of the pocket clip should never, Spyderco Pair 3, should never, ever be prioritized over the, this positioning of the lanyard thing should never, ever be prioritized over the pocket clip, ever. Anytime we have a pocket clip positioned low so that we can put the lanyard barrel right here, it's a big, dumb, stupid, dumb, garbage crap decision by a dumb person. Dumb! Never, ever. Always clip first, you second. And they did that here, so that's nice. You can also mount it for lefties. That's good. Lefties, you'll operate it the same way, except with your index finger. Lockup, you have your closed position stop here, and where it interacts in the closed position, I think, is all way back here. Yeah, it looks like you can see it right there, that little divot, and that's what interacts right there. So you're good to just sharpen away. No blade play, no lock stick, no pivot lash, smooth and consistent for a budget knife, right? You can still hear it, right? But it's good enough. Click into the closed position. Blade is maybe slightly centered. No, I just needed to mash it a little bit. It's perfectly centered. No detent lash. $54 knife. The only thing, just wait, give us different options for the steel. Like, make the base version. This is what I honestly think you guys should do with the AR RPM 9. It's fine. It's okay. It's not a bad steel. It's just kind of, Make it your baseline version and then give us an option for something else. Give us an option for 14C28N. I think, realistically, this is probably a $45 pocket knife in AR RPM 9. And then if you want to give us an option for 14C28N, then you can mark it up to $60, right? Please start utilizing more steels. You guys use D2 and AR RPM 9 for all your budget stuff. AR RPM 9 is fine, but not a competitor versus especially steels like 14C27, 14C28N. There's also, people enjoy Nitro V. 154CM is slowly making its way into budget territory. There's a lot of other just better steels, right? And a lot of those steels cost a little more money, but companies like Migron are proving that they can make this stuff and, price it at 45 to 50 bucks and it works, right? So AR RPM 9, I know there's no way that this is an expensive thing to create. It's your own steel. It's a proprietary steel. This needs to be your baseline budget steel alongside D2. And then you guys need to offer at least one or two other steels and charge maybe a little bit more for it. I really think that would appeal to people a lot more, especially considering you guys can make a really good knife. This is a great design. And I'm going to tell you right now, even with AR RPM 9, which I'm not saying is a bad steel, it's just okay, this is a highly recommendable product at $54. It could cost less, and I would pay slightly more for a better steel, but this is really good. And absolutely, if I were to make a top 20 list of the greatest budget knives of all time over again, this would absolutely make it. It's really, really good. But it will be quickly replaced by many other products that do exactly the same thing, and offer a better steel. That's going to happen. For right now, this is a really good choice. This is going to go in my Cheap Knives I Like playlist. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.